Hi, welcome to Unapologetically Disabled, where we talk about life unapologetically. I am your host, Shania, and it's good to see you. I am with Ben, who is one of my lifelong friends and such. Ben, introduce yourself, tell the people where they can find you.
Hello, my name is Benjamin York. You can find me typically on TikTok every now and then, that one tree guy. You can find me. That's pretty much it right now. I've got
At the moment. You'll be
at
showing
the
up
moment.
on here and probably on our Twitch and stuff like that. Once we have all that rolling.
I'm gonna be like my gut and expand.
That was perfect. That was amazing. Okay, editor, should I roll the intro? Everybody wanted to know what this podcast is about. And honestly, it's me. I am trying to be a comedian, and I wanted to do more comedy interview style podcast. Maybe read some Reddit posts, which we'll do today, some about the asshole and all that fun stuff. But before we get started on that, I'd like to introduce myself and Ben, and who you might hear in the background is Aaron. So, where should we get started? Me, you, or Aaron? Or both, because you and Aaron met before I met you and Aaron, so let's start there. How do you and Aaron know each other?
From a friend of a friend, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
Me and Aaron, he just kind of showed up one day.
Yeah.
Well, pretty much is what happened. Is a mutual friend brought him over, and I just kind of kidnapped him forever.
You can mention it. It was Corey, correct?
Was it Corey or was it Giuseppe?
James.
It was James. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, James brought him over, and kind of we hit it off pretty decently from that point on, just because we have this same asshole attitude, and we just clicked. It was one of those very few clicked.
Yeah. It's one of those things where you meet them and it's like, okay, they're going to be in my life for the rest of my life.
Pretty much. It's one of those rare friendships.
And that's similar to how it happened with me. I moved in with my sister and her husband, Corey, as we mentioned. And that introduced me to Aaron and Ben and all of them. And it's kind of just been like, okay, these people are going to be around forever.
Yeah. It's like I kind of adopted you as like a pseudo little sister, and I'm like, I must protect her at all costs now.
And you always thought I was so much older than I was. Like, I finally turned 21 this year, and Ben's like, wait, you're not turning 25? No.
Yeah, it's your attitude was like well above what your age was. And so, I could have those weird comments, and I don't mean nothing by it, but and I'm like, oh
and then
shit,
your brain would kick in and be like, oh my god, she's not old enough for me to be saying that.
I was like, oh shit, I can't say that. But now I can, and I don't feel as bad.
No, don't feel bad at all. Life put me in this position, not you. But I wanted to get into why now for the podcast, because technically I could have started it the moment I turned 18 years old, but life was not in the position to let that happen.
No, it kind of wasn't for you, was it, at all?
No, not between personal stuff and medical stuff. Because I turned 18 and then all that happened in my personal life, and trying to get my medical stuff on track, because my family hadn't been able to very well when I was a child. And then when I turned 19, I got that blood clot.
That's right, yeah. I remember that.
Yeah.
God, that was rough.
And then I lost a ton of mobility because, with a degenerative muscle disease, that's going to happen when you sit down for a long time. And they're like, well, with the blood clot, it was so painful I couldn't walk. And then so that killed my muscles. And then when you lose mobility, like we were talking about before we started the podcast, when you lose mobility, you lose mental health drastically.
Oh yeah, that's like we was talking about before we started, was the fear of losing oneself, pretty much, which is horrible, especially in the position like you are.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you have limited mobility, so if you lose any of it, it's a drastic change. You know,
it feels like you've lost 5% more of the world when all you have is 20%.
Yeah, you're losing a larger chunk compared to most people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, don't get me wrong. Any kind of
Yeah.
mobility loss
Absolutely.
sucks.
Yes.
But for someone who's already in that position of limited mobility, it's such a more drastic hit. So.
And definitely building on that, and that was such good memory on your part of our earlier conversation. Why now is because towards in winter, like we were saying, winter really messes with people's mental health, and May is Mental Health Awareness Month as well as I believe ASL Support Month, which is a type of muscular dystrophy, muscle myopathy, things like that. And I just wanted to mention that real fast. Because part of my comedy will come with advocacy as a disabled person. That's just what you do when you put yourself in the public eye. You become some kind of advocate, even if it's unintentional.
Yeah, it's because people focus on things.
Yeah.
You know,
they
it is
see
what
their
it is.
favorite celebrity and they want them to be a good person. And I hope that I am. But I don't think I can be everything everybody wants me to be, and that's okay. Like, I know that there's a good chance I'm going to get hate even within my own community. And I know how to take that and dust it off my shoulder.
Sell out! No, I'm joking.
Or take it and, take it in stride and be like, okay, I understand what you're saying. Educate me, please.
Yeah. I mean, there's only one way to become a better person in general, and that's to open up your ears and close your damn mouth.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, just straight up.
Yeah.
But that's just the way I believe things is. The best way to become a better person is to open your ears, close your mouth, and listen. Mm-hmm. You don't have to agree.
No.
You don't have to agree with everything. You could be a saint, and somebody's going to find something wrong. It just is what it is. Mm-hmm. You just have to take the good with the bad, brush it off. Fuck 'em.
Keep going. And it's what I was telling some of the friends I was making on TikTok over the last couple of days, which has been so gratifying to know that I'm not the only person that wants to hear myself talk. I was like, I'm so glad other people want to hear me talk for like an hour or 2 hours straight.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, yeah, I get to do something. That's easy on me. I can talk. But I was telling them, I was like, what matters most when you are putting yourself in the public eye is to make sure you stay with your morals, and the opinions that matter need to be from the people that you think their opinion matters. So, like, to me, Aaron's opinion matters. Ben, Mandy, Sarah, those opinions matter. But a random stranger from user a gajillion numbers doesn't matter to me.
Yeah, no. They're just another person, and a lot of times I've come to realize the reason people like dog at somebody is because they have problems.
Mm-hmm. It is.
Yeah. And they just want to bring them out. That's just the way it is.
Yeah.
It's they have to dog someone else down to make themselves feel a little bit better. That's fine. Mm-hmm. Do what you need to do, boo-boo. I'm not gonna care.
I'm not gonna encourage it, but I'm not gonna put all of my energy into it. Otherwise, because I think the saying is misery loves company. And they want to make you miserable so they feel better.
Exactly. And, okay, we understand.
Mm-hmm.
You're not happy.
Sorry.
Another thing, though, something else I wanted to bring up, since you talked about your comedy and this, that, and the other. A comedian once said, and it's something I've always lived by, was, I don't do comedy for people, I do comedy for what I think is funny.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
And that makes a lot of sense, because if you make yourself laugh, there's someone out there with your sense of humor.
Mm-hmm. And I found that definitely in you and Aaron and Mandy, because when I would start talking, I didn't get shut down. I didn't get talked over. Everybody else would be quiet.
Well, I mean, it's respecting the voice.
Yeah.
That's the thing, is people have to respect someone else's opinion and voice about things. So, if someone speaks, listen.
Yeah.
That
I was trying to think. It's one of my favorite comedians that I've seen all over TikTok is George Carlin. He does a lot of religion-based comedy. And it's it's just so cut and dry and blunt. And I know that it rubs so many people the wrong way, but it makes me laugh all day long.
good old George.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He's he was one of the greatest
He was.
of all time. Not only did he like religion and stuff like that, but he had everything from politics to religion to everything. He did not.
He didn't care
at all.
And to give you all a great idea for the podcast is, yes, comedy interviews, which is what I wanted to label it as under Spotify. Because there would be typically, I really don't want to do this just by myself talking to a camera. Another guest and someone I can bounce off of or just interview. But I needed to do something, especially in this economy, because I'm so dependent upon our government and things like that, and I just really want to break away from that, and it's not a bad thing, despite what people say.
The way I see things is, you've got, I don't know, I bounce off people more than I do solo as well. Back in the day when I was much younger, I done streaming and stuff. And of course, when you stream, especially if you're new, you're not going to have X amount of followers. You're not going to have X, Y, Z people interacting with. And I noticed specifically with me, I would shut down and just shut up. And I'd just be sitting there and playing a game, expecting someone to talk to me. You can't really.
No.
I'm not the person to sit there and just talk.
No, you have to start on something like Twitch, you have to start the conversation. And that's why live streams are really hard for me. But I feel like it would be fine if it was a group of us streaming live. We would all be there, not just, one-on-one with the camera. Me and Aaron did pretty good last night when we streamed Schedule 1 on Twitch.
Yeah, I've seen that pop up. I was asleep by the time it came up, but I would do better in a situation like you said, with a bunch of my friends just getting together and BSing with each other. But I do have to watch because I might say something inappropriate.
Yeah.
I have to remember PG-13. PG-13.
And it would especially be okay. Well, no, on Twitch we have it rated explicit too. So you can still swear and stuff.
Oh yeah, it's not the swearing. It's I'm a horrible person at the heart, and
Twitch usually takes that on the chin a lot better than other platforms. I've noticed.
I will agree
so far.
But I've watched some streamers that said some things. I'm just like, oh, hello.
I'm you can say that. And
exactly. And it's like he didn't get ban-hammered.
But shameless plug. Go follow us on Twitch, The Creation Forge. Anyway, this I really wanted to start this because I gave myself a Best Buy date, is what I called it in my brain. Of I was going to die at 40, no matter what I did. And then I got 21 years old and I'm like, you don't know that.
Exactly.
But growing up, I was always told, well, you'll live till about when your mom did, about 40 years old. You turn 20, we'll probably put you in a wheelchair for life. And I was just sitting there, at 14, 15 years old, and them telling me this. And it was like they were writing my future out for me on a piece of paper. I was like, here you go. Follow this rule book and you'll be fine. And then I got 21 years old, and I'm like, this rule book makes me want to not be here anymore. And that's not okay. So I have to rip up the rule book and start fresh.
Yeah, I mean, it's understandable when people are especially to a kid,
Mm-hmm.
you have to, I don't want to say scare, but
No.
they have to give them a set of rules,
Mm-hmm.
especially if they're severely, disabled or going to be eventually
Mm-hmm.
severely disabled. That way they don't have, I hate to say this, but high expectations of
Mm-hmm.
things. But there comes a time in life where you just have to reach out and grab by the balls.
Yeah. And I'm kind of at that point, and I wrote down and told my mama, I said, like, they wanted to put me in, they wanted to wrap me in bubble wrap so hard that they started to suffocate me.
Yeah, they're too controlling, too much. This is set in stone. This is the way it has to be, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Screw that. It's my life.
Yeah.
So you have to get to a point and be like, fuck it, we ball.
Mm-hmm.
Or as the kids used to say, YOLO.
YOLO. You know what? It's all like, obviously don't put all of your eggs in a basket or anything.
No.
I'm being cautious about it. And no, nobody can see it behind the scenes except me and you and Aaron. And that's how it needs to be. But I'm not being reckless, but it was so different. I asked everybody in my personal life if I was going into a manic episode. Because my dad's bipolar. I genuinely thought, I was like, Ben, I think I'm having, I don't think I asked you, but I asked Sarah and Aaron and my PTA, Tash. I was like, am I going into a manic episode? Like, this is a lot of change at once, and I know that can happen. And then they were like, no, you've just realized what you want to do with your life.
Yeah, you actually are now realizing that you truly have a dream, something you want to achieve, and you're taking these steps that you've never had to worry about before. So this change is all at once coming in at you, and people like comfort zones. I am horrible for being in my comfort zone. All right, I don't like walking past my comfort zone for anything. I panic.
There's a reason we didn't talk for months at a time until recently. Because neither of us wanted to get out of our comfort zones. But I turned 21 and became a medical cannabis patient. And was like, oh, okay, I can get out of the house and I can go see my friends. Well, they're going to have to talk to me if I show up at their house.
Exactly. Having my door literally almost kicked in by my friends, that was not part of the plan, but a very pleasant surprise, I'm not going to lie. And because of that, you've actually helped me out. And I've been getting out of the house every now and then.
I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud.
I know.
Can I put that? My job's already doing its job.
Yeah. And I've actually broken out of my comfort zone a couple times.
Well, I've noticed Mandy will text me more. And then Mandy told me about your daughter, that she got out on the dance floor and was actually dancing with the other kids. And I was like, oh my God, I am so proud of her. Because that's such your son thing to do, but typically not your daughter.
Yeah, my son is no stranger, no bounds.
Yeah.
He's go, go, go. And then my daughter, she is quite literally like me, and it's like home, safety, through everything else.
Yeah.
But to see her get out with her friends and stuff, doing that little dance party, and actually get on the floor and dance with her friends and this, that, and the other, it's a wonderful seeing her not be me.
Yeah. You just want to see, you always want to see your kids do better than you did in life. If you're a good parent, I feel like that's the way you see it. Like, it's not like you have to do this. You want them to succeed and not get hurt or hurt anybody else.
Yeah, that's what I tell Desmond. I go, Desmond, I don't want you to be me. I want you to be better than I could ever be.
And then it's also that weird aspect of you want them to have these, limitless dreams of be better than my dad, but not to where they feel like they have to be.
Exactly. Which is, it goes along with it is, I want you to be comfortable, but I want you to see things, and I'm going to teach you what I did wrong.
Yeah.
Now, you can follow your own path, do your own thing. I'm going to guide you the best that I can as a parent. And that's something I truly believe in is it's not a parent's job to tell their children what to do. It is the parent's job to guide the child.
Absolutely.
Now, it's a parent's job to show them consequences of their actions.
Absolutely.
You know, if a kid is being a little smart ass, you know.
You have a couple of those, unfortunately, but that just shows you true intelligence.
Yeah. Now, my son, me and him sat down the other day. I asked him not to do something. He went behind my back, did it anyways.
Oh, yeah, man, he was telling me about that.
And I sat down with him. And what I did was me and him had a little bit of discussion. I go, okay, I said not to do something. You did it anyways. So, you know you're in trouble, right? He's like, yeah. And I'm like, okay, let's discuss this. And me and him sat and we spoke, and I'm like, okay, you are going to get punished. What is the punishment you believe fits this situation?
That's very fair. That is very fair. That's nice.
And, you know, we negotiated. We talked back and forth. He goes, grounded from going outside because he's, you know, he loves to go outside and play with his friends. I go, okay. How long? He said 4 days. I'm like, well, it is the weekend. I go, but you are in trouble. So let's make it just for the weekend. That's 2 days, Saturday, Sunday. I go, you can't go outside. You can't, you know, you're grounded from going outside and playing with your friends. That is the punishment for the action.
Yeah.
So now he understood that what he did was wrong. He understands that there was consequences. But he also understands that I'm being fair.
Yeah. Your way of dealing with that punishment, you may have seen him on TikTok, and I'll try to put a little clip in for the people watching on YouTube or watching the video version. The judge who, like, he pops up a lot on Facebook and, like, on my TikTok. It's a judge. He's an older white man, but, like, on speeding tickets or parking tickets, he usually just lets them pass, especially if it's, like, a mother with children or things like that. And it's like, do you know why you're here? And it's like, yeah. Or it's like, you know, obviously she didn't do it, or obviously the officer fudged it a little for, you know, to make a ticket, to write a ticket, for whatever reason. There's plenty of reasons people do that. But, and that he'll be like, no, it's understandable. You only need to pay this amount, or he'll just write it off completely.
Yeah. I mean, and that's something I believe when it comes to something like, especially law or something like that, is fairness. They say justice is blind, but it's not anymore. There's so many laws on so many things.
Was it ever in the United States?
There's more laws than a person can count in a lifetime. Okay, there's laws about
scratching your ass about the other laws.
I don't know.
Isn't one of the oldest laws in Kentucky you can't have an ice cream cone in your back pocket?
Yeah,
because you'll lead a horse around.
That's because you can lead a horse off and steal the horse.
Yeah.
I think it's been scratched, but the fact that it was a law at one point in time, come on.
Right, that's a little insane. But it shows you how much our society has advanced. Like, we needed that law at the time, but now it's so silly. Because now everybody has a car, but who has horses? The people that live in the country.
Yeah.
Or, you know, that own a big piece of land, they could own horses.
Yeah. That was, I think, specifically in, like, Lexington and stuff like that had that law. I know another weird law was no hunting from moving vehicles.
In Kentucky?
In the state of Kentucky,
no
it was
hunting
illegal
from
to
a
hunt
moving vehicle.
From a moving vehicle specifically. So you can't do drive-by shootings on deer. That was a law.
I think I understand why it's a law, but it's still funny to read, like on paper.
But there is a caveat to that law.
Yeah.
Unless you're hunting whales.
Unless you're hunting what?
Whales.
Whales?
Like Shamu, yeah. You can hunt Shamu from your car. You just can't hunt deer.
I guess.
I mean, it's funny because we're a landlocked state. Okay?
Yeah, we are. Like, we used to be underwater, but
That
been a hot minute. I mean, it looks a little dicey in Florida. Looks like they're taking on water pretty good, but I have no idea how it looks now.
There's another weird Kentucky law.
Mm-hmm.
Women in, I think it was like Owensboro, Kentucky, were not allowed to buy hats unless the man tried it on first and said so.
I'm gonna go there and buy a hat.
That was a law at one point in time.
I'm gonna go. That law makes me want to fight somebody.
Yeah, there's we've had some of the most interesting laws, I think, compared to a lot of places.
I think a good one is like Arizona. It's like you can't put a donkey in a bathtub.
Yeah, I think there's something like that. You can't put a monkey in a bathtub. There was a law that did get repealed. You could be fined $50 if you were found working on a Sunday. Yeah.
Where? In Kentucky?
Yeah. Well, there was exceptions like clergymen, certain businesses. Oh, and of course, athletic game officials. So football was okay.
I hope doctors were included in that because some football you might need a doctor.
It's a good possibility. I'm just saying. I think it's funny. Give me 1 second. I'll be right back. I'm not moving very far. I'm just grabbing something.
Yeah.
Ow, elbow. But yeah, he's had some funny laws. If you want to add that to your repertoire of
knowledge.
There you go. Stupid laws.
One thing we were talking about earlier was our slightly boomer takes, because we do live in rural Kentucky, and unfortunately those are ingrained in us no matter what. But they're not as drastic as people would think. Such as, I hate the fact that I have to play the algorithm. Because algorithms don't work with my kind of content, because I do such a variety of content, and that's what people are like, well, Shania, what's this about? Well, I can't tell you, because I want to have so many kinds of people on. I'm so interested in talking to so many kinds of people, but my main goal is to make people laugh, because right now the world is such a scary place.
Oh, the world's terrifying right now.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's weird because everybody's pretty much getting dry fucked without consent, and we don't have an option anymore. Whether it's your work or whatever, it just is what it is.
Yeah.
And God.
And I think especially on social media, people get this idea that people fit in a cookie cutter, like this big human-shaped cookie cutter. Everybody has their own cookie cutter. No. We bend it, and we change every day, every week, every year. We change because we're human. And change is such a good and fantastic thing. That's how you can grow as a species.
And that is true. It's like mental evolution.
Mm-hmm.
The way I see it is, if somebody made a cookie cutter of me, it's got to be a big one because I'm fat. But the thing is,
well, mine would have to have a little wheelchair accessory so I can move.
Yeah. Yours looks like one of those little wheelchair things, with the little person in it, except it's a lot thinner because you're a stick.
Oh, and do you mean like my button that I made that says I will run you down? That will be live on my shop on May 7th. Please go get a button, and you can use a 20% discount for first-time buyer. One code, one person, have fun. Anyway, Ben, continue off of my shameless promo. I had to get that in there.
But no, no, it's one of those things that the world is so fast moving and so straightforward on black and white that there's no grays anymore.
Yeah.
There's no nuance. There's no maybes or ifs. It's either yes or no questions.
And I saw somebody say something. It was like Aaron's been watching a lot of Star Wars lately, and May the 4th was just recently, so that's kind of fitting. He's been watching a lot of Star Wars, and one of the things that was like I was seeing online, people are like, you're either like the good or bad, and they were like, not every character, not every villain needs a backstory. And I'm like, but most villains in your life do. Like the people you hate and you don't want to talk to and you block on Facebook and Instagram, there's a reason they act that way. But there are outliers. There are people who are just mean because it makes them feel good.
Yeah, there's people out there dicks to be dicks, and that's true. But there's also people out there dicks because it's a coping mechanism of everything in my life's been shit at this point. Fuck everybody else, and I understand that.
Yeah,
I understand wanting to tell people to go f themselves on a daily basis because everybody that you've ever walked into or been a part of, they have screwed you over or something like that. I accept that. Doesn't mean I like you, but I accept it.
Like, I know why you act that way, because I could act that way. Like, realistically, logically, I could I could act that way. But I have a moral compass that it's not society's problem to deal with, like, my bullshit, It's not society's problem that my life was hard up until a certain point. Or is hard. My life is hard at certain points with certain things. But it's not, random stranger number 3 who's, getting my McDonald's order or whatever. It's not their issue. I don't need to take it out on them. It's not, you need to be an adult and know how to manage your emotions.
Oh, yeah. 100%. I agree with that. It's not. That's another thing that I can't stand is when people treat gas station workers or fast food workers or retail workers of any kind. They
have such hard jobs.
Like, listen, I'll put it this way: when COVID shut down, name how many McDonald's actually shut down.
Crickets.
Yeah, exactly.
Crickets.
Exactly.
I don't have
how many gas stations locked up? Exactly. And that's just the way it is. Only the essential workers were working at the time, and most of them were, they were doctors, firefighters, policemen.
Absolutely.
You had people like that, and maybe some lawyers, or this, that, and the other. But you also had these minimum wage gas station attendants, fast food workers, and everything else, because believe it or not, and I hate to say this, without all those gas station employees or those, McDonald's workers and stuff, you're not feeding your fat ass that fucking McDouble, are you? And you're not getting your gas to go down the road, are you? No. Without all these dumbasses that work these jobs, half the world stopped. And here's another thing to go along that. Sorry, I'm ranting.
No, go. You are clear. Clear for takeoff.
I am going off, but here's another thing that if the world was full of geniuses, someone would still have to work those jobs.
Absolutely. Because they are the backbone of getting work done.
They are the in-between A and B that nobody thinks about because it's so common and so effortless to drive in, get your gas, pay for it, and leave. Those people are there because they have to be.
Yeah.
Now, don't get me wrong. Some of them are put there because I've been in that situation because they're stupid, like I was, and refused better jobs because I didn't think I was worth it. But at the same time, some of those people are there because they have to start somewhere.
Yeah, especially like, a lot of people say, and you'll hear the argument, but fast food workers are just teenagers. They don't need all that extra income. One, I knew so many people in high school that worked a job to support their family, but they were only 15 or 16 years old.
I actually I ended up quitting school and going to work at the age of 16 because of family financial problems. Yeah. So there was a couple of things that led up to that point, but that was one of the things was I had to go to work.
Yeah.
I didn't have a choice.
No.
I had to grow up and I had to go to work. It is my fault. I could have finished school. Don't get me wrong. I could have took that road, but the necessity for my family was I need to work and I need to pull in a full-time job to make income so we can afford bills. Yeah. Because that's one thing about Kentucky specifically and West Virginia and some of these rural counties around this area and in the mountains is there's not a lot of money.
No. It goes a lot into hospitals and things like that, which are very important. Hospitals are so important, especially when you have mountains like this and it's hard to get from A to B quickly. Because, how long does it take us to get to Walmart? Like 30 minutes there?
Oh, yeah. 30.
And then you have 30 minutes back?
Yeah, it's an hour round trip, Yeah. Sometimes an hour and a half, depending on how many idiots are on the road. But it's when you live in a little area like this, and something that always bothered me is like, we'll just move.
How?
Buddy,
what money?
I wish it was that easy.
It's not.
I wish I had the money.
And that's why
problem.
We started the Creation Forge, which is now officially an LLC under the state of Kentucky, which helps my home state, but also helps me hopefully expand it to the state that I moved to. And then we have, my Shania Create stuff. Hopefully will be monetized when I hit 10,000. We have Patreon, GoFundMe, and then making all the fun buttons for everybody who want to wear and buy cheap. And then, especially if it's local to here and we can just deliver it, like it'll be, like we can set a different price, but through the fourth wall, when they make it and I just put the design in, they make it, they ship it, I don't see it, and it costs a little bit more.
Oh, yeah.
But I have it as cheap as their website will let me put it.
Yeah, it's when you have a third party doing, the hard labor, the work.
Yeah, it's the labor, and that's fine. I'm paying for the labor. And that's why I want to make a discount for, people that continue to buy it, like they continuously buy. Or, I have that first time one for 20% for people to, they can at least get one thing that they might want, hopefully.
Yeah, I mean that's just the way it is. Coming up poor, it teaches you a lot of responsibility with money and, it teaches you a lot of things like monetary value. Of course we want fun stuff. I mean, everybody wants to be entertained.
Absolutely.
Everybody wants a nice button or a nice shirt or, some kind of goofy BS thing that they hide off in the side of the corner that no one else needs to see besides them.
Poster, whatever.
Yeah. But being able to afford that, sometimes you just can't.
Yeah,
so
and I'm sure I don't know about, how, this was one thing I got into Aaron that's kind of interesting that I want to bounce off of you, because you're even a little bit older than Aaron is, which means there's a bigger gap between me and you. So when I think of merchandise, I think of a YouTuber selling, like, a plushie, or a sticker, or things like that, a t-shirt. You think of, like, a CD, or, even like a record, or
listen, don't spill too much of how old I am now. Okay, I remember when CDs became a thing. Okay.
Ooh, now,
yeah.
Now you're outing yourself there. I didn't say that.
There. But I'm young enough to do stupid stuff and old enough to know better.
Yeah.
Kind of situation. Mm-hmm. And don't get me wrong, I'm perpetually online.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
A lot of it's.
I think
this
that
right
happens.
Here is it's you have a whole phone a whole computer in your pocket.
Yeah.
Everybody does. If you're not perpetually online, you're probably over the age of 50.
You're either over the age of 50 or you're just so much better of a person than I am. Because,
seriously.
Especially as somebody who is disabled and introverted, like, I want to say I'm introverted to an extent. I definitely do better than some of my friends and family in social situations. That's why I try to make phone calls and things like that for friends and family, because I don't mind. And I can get it done. I might get a little frustrated with them, but I'll get it done, and I don't mind. But, I always feel like it's, the internet was a place that I could actually interact with other people besides school. And that's why I really like going to school. I liked talking with people. I ended up being academically gifted, but my friends weren't always academically gifted.
Yeah, I mean, going to school for me was terror, but that's for a whole separate, reason and a whole separate thing. I was one of the, what was it called? Gifted students.
Uh-huh.
I was one of the smart kids.
Uh-huh.
And I hated
burn out so fast.
It's like, oh, I used to be a smart kid. Now I make minimum wage. Because that's what happens to kids is they pop them up on this platform, and as soon as they can't achieve that one goal that makes everybody happy, it destroys the kid.
Mm-hmm.
And then you just refuse after that. And
I think that's what happened when I graduated, because it was very drastic. You know what happened with my dad right before I graduated. I had, for my viewership, you can actually find it on my Reddit account somewhere. I posted something when it actually happened. Because I was just like, oh my god, this is insane. I need to write down what I'm thinking right now. Or I'll forget why I'm angry. Because my brain does that a lot. It'll try to, block out the bad. So I forget why I'm upset. But I know it's a good reason. Anyway, around that time I graduated. But when I did that, I was dealing a lot of stuff, personally and medically. And so I broke down on my man, and I told Aaron, I was like, I can't, do this. I was telling Sarah, too, Sarah and Aaron and my mama, I can't go to college. And everybody wanted me to, because I had, 3 or 4 scholarships. I had 22 college credits. It wasn't that I wasn't academically gifted. I just knew that college, I had seen Sarah, Aaron, Corey, literally everybody in my life go to college and do nothing with it, because it didn't help them get a job.
It's like, I took psychology in college.
Mm-hmm.
And that was what my major was in, psychology.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized way too late that in this area, especially rural Kentucky, where we're at and stuff, mm-hmm. that's as useless as a art degree in this area.
It would have been, and me and Aaron have talked about this, or not me and Aaron, but also me and Aaron's sister have talked about this. It would have been so much better for them to go get a degree in electrical engineering. Something like that.
Oh, definitely.
You make so much money and stuff like that around here because we have so many power outages because of storms, because of trees.
The wind blew too hard one day.
The wind blew too hard and something snapped because it was old and rusty.
Yeah. Another thing we could use a lot of is just any kind of engineer for water.
Mm. You mean a plumber?
Yeah.
A water engineer, a plumber. I like that.
Actually,
I like that. I want to change it. They're not plumbers anymore. They're water engineers.
Water engineers, okay? Let's give them the respect they deserve.
The respect they deserve, because it's so much tedious work. And especially if you deal with toilets and septic.
I have dealt with toilets, septic, and all that before.
Nope.
Fuck that noise. That's all thing I'm going to say. Mm-hmm. And anybody who does plumbing or has done plumbing by themselves, yeah, it's easy. Don't get me wrong. Plumbing, out of all the stuff, between electricity, carpentry, drywall, and plumbing is probably the easiest in my opinion. That's my opinion. I don't know if it's truth or not, but that's my opinion, because I'm the one that does the plumbing, and I'm a lazy fat fuck. All right? So, plumbing is probably the easiest, but at the same time, it's so fucking annoying. Because Because not only do you get to put everything in, it's when you have to crawl under the house because the downstairs toilet decides to clog up something awful and explode everywhere. And now you're crawling through this wonderful concoction of bodily fluid that you hope to God is not something weird, just to get it fixed. Electricians don't have to deal with that.
No.
Carpenters don't deal with it. Well, they might have to deal with it every now and then, maybe very rarely.
Listen, it wasn't a carpenter. My poor electrician working out here in the money hills of Kentucky. Bless his soul. He was digging under my porch when all he had to do was go flip a breaker. And he was nice enough to fill it back in.
Oh, he was a good dude then.
Yeah, he was good dude. He was good people. He said to call him if we needed anything else, but everything has worked since he did it, and I'm so happy.
That's a good dude right there. That's a good person, straight up. If they're willing to go through hell and back just to flip a breaker on accident. Oh, scratch. But yeah, I mean.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, I was reading something real quick. I was thinking ahead. I was reading something real quick.
Oh, you're reading?
I was reading something. I was just getting this set up because I didn't know where we were going to start with this. I didn't know if we were going to start with r/disability or like AITA or something.
Pick one. We'll start ranting at something.
I know. I'm looking at the controversial of r/disability. Maybe I shouldn't be there. I don't know.
You don't know. She doesn't know. Oh, no.
This is a little controversial, but I don't think our views on it are controversial. Let me read what the post says.
Yeah, don't bring up something too controversial.
No.
Don't want to get canceled before.
Okay, yeah, no, I think this is fine because it's just somebody. They seem like they just seem kind of young and genuinely asking. I don't know how old they are, but they seem like on the younger side. So the thing they tagged it with was, what qualifies as a disability? How I am seeking opinions about whether I can call myself disabled. And the reason I said this seems fine is you'll see what they have. I have IBS, anxiety, OCD, sensory issues, and visual static. These all affect me quite a bit in my daily life, including issues with school and work. Do you all consider these disabilities? Would it be bad or weird to tell people that I'm disabled? And I think especially as somebody with anxiety and the occasional sensory overload, it is debilitating. It can be. Absolutely.
I think there is some, like, nuances.
Absolutely.
Maybe not the IBS too much.
No, IBS and the visual static definitely put you in more of a physical disability status.
That is a more physical debilitating thing because yes, I know people with IBS and they can fuck a day up.
But I know I've seen online how bad, especially like I don't know about myself. I personally have only dealt with, like I said, the anxiety and the sensory issues. I've had my own bowel issues that I don't think were IBS, but I have no idea. But as somebody who's experienced anxiety and sensory issues, my anxiety was so debilitating that I didn't leave the house. Things like that.
I know people, my anxiety has gotten worse with age.
Absolutely.
Which is weird because I used to be Mr. I was the first person on the dance floor before I was even drunk. I was that guy. I didn't give a fuck. And now, as I've gotten older, I went to, what was it, like a little Renaissance fair.
Yeah.
And it was small. It was small. Buddy, let me tell you, I was like, nope. But when it comes to that situation where they have the visual static, the IBS, and the anxiety,
OCD, sensory issues, anxiety, I definitely think those are very debilitating. And there's no reason, and it's not a bad word. Saying disabled, disability isn't a bad word. I don't love it when people refer to me as, you're just differently able. No, this society, the way it's built, I am at a disadvantage. I am disabled.
Yeah, I mean, the way I see is like this. People have tried to fluff it to make people feel better about things. And don't get me wrong, I understand where they're coming from.
Yeah.
But let's call it what it is.
Yeah, it's a disability.
It is a disability. Straight up, because if it keeps you from doing things that you love, or it keeps you from being performance in a society, that is a disability.
And that's why I advocate, especially when I got that walker, Ben, you saw how he changed how I got around. That's why I want to advocate so hard. If you need, compression socks, a mobility aid, a wheelchair sometimes, or all the time, there's nothing wrong with using something or anything that makes you feel safe, comfort, and like you can be a part of society again.
If it allows you to be you at least a little bit more, hell with everybody else. Because their opinions literally don't matter. I'm one of those people. I can't help it. I'm going to be very unapologetic about this. But if I don't know you, I will respect your opinion, but it doesn't matter to me.
No, I can respect an opinion, especially if somebody's trying to teach me something. But what loses my respect is when you use derogatory language to try to make somebody put somebody down to teach them. That's not how you teach.
You're there to level the playing ground and hopefully lift people up, not put them down. If society could actually get in a way where people were stopped bickering about left, right, up, down, red, blue.
Yeah.
This person, that person, my religion versus your religion, this, that, and the other, and we could just step back and look at everything as a whole. Life would be better.
Yeah.
Just respect each other. I can respect somebody and not want to be around them at the same time. I can respect who you are, what you've done with your life. Congratulations. I'm happy for you. I want to see you eat, just not at my table.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. I want to see you eat, but not at my table. I had a lot of, unfortunately, family like that who I know they love and care about me, but if they knew what I really thought on a daily basis, how I practiced my daily life, they wouldn't like me and they wouldn't want to be around me.
Oh, definitely. I'm very much the same way. I was a black sheep my entire life, and my black sheepness was different than everybody else's in my family because, I was, I come from a rough family in a way, not horrible. I mean, they're not like mean people or anything. I grew up a redneck.
Yeah.
And it just is what it is. And then you got me who was a hippie.
Yeah.
Kind of. And so that's how I was the black sheep. I was like, make love, not war. And they're like, kill everybody.
Yeah. I won't touch on the subject because I know it's not too personal, but, your mom is very hippie-esque. Reminds me of,
Oh, yeah, she's straight up. She grew up in the 70s.
Yeah, your mom, if you're not talking about anything too heavy with your mom, she's very much just go with the flow. I like positive vibes, and it's very it's refreshing.
Oh yeah, I love my mom. She's one of the coolest people I've ever met in my life. Don't worry, me and her have bumped heads, and we have had it out.
That's why I said I wouldn't touch on it too heavy, in case you didn't want to. But
Yeah, but at the same time, I have more respect for her than I do most people in general. Not just because she's my mother, but because she is who she is. She's unapologetically her.
That fits so well with this project and this podcast. Unapologetically herself. I think that's what I really wanted. I just wanted to have to stop putting I obviously have a filter because I have, a brain. But I wanted to stop having to put a filter on what I really believed in, what was really important to me.
I believe if someone has a dream or a cause that they're willing to fight for, they'll go through hell and high water for it.
And that's why, even though I was literally banging my head against my desk last night, I was getting it done.
Yeah, I mean, I'm personally very proud of you.
Thank you.
And I want everybody who listens to this to hear that. I am very proud of you. And a lot of people should be, because maybe you can be that little voice that says, hey, even though, yes, I'm in this situation I'm in, I might be disabled, it doesn't mean I had to give up.
Part of one of the first videos I posted introducing the podcast, I literally had a crash out right before I filmed the video. And you can tell if you watch the first 5 seconds that I'm going through something, and then I take a breath and hit record again. But I literally said I wanted the podcast. Well, not just the podcast, my content, my comedy, my stand-up, because I have that in the works. Nothing dead set, unless somebody wants to reach out to me, then, I'm not going to say any money. $50 is $50, and I've said that since I was 18?
Roughly.
Yeah, $50 is $50, but I also have morals and limits. Anyway,
I mean, I don't, but...
You don't. If you want to contact Ben privately, TikTok is the best way to do that. Or contact me, and I'll contact Ben for you.
I mean, just say $20, $20. Anyway!
I wanted to, obviously, the big thing is laugh. Don't take it all to heart. At the end of the day, we're two people being stupid on the internet.
Yeah.
But if I can make other people feel better for 5 minutes out of their day, and it makes them want to stay on this earth for the next week because they want to see the next episode, or they want to see my next TikTok, I did my job.
That's the way I've always been. If I can make someone smile, even if they're having a bad day and they just crack that little, just for a second.
Oh my God! You line up like a Christmas tree.
I am happy as I can be. If one of my, even if one of my stupid little phrases or one of my stupid little jokes makes someone giggle just for a split second, like that idiot, I'm good.
Yeah, you may know.
It's like, I'm done. Job here's done. Hat down.
I feel like I'm getting up on stage to do my stand-up, and I'll be like, I'll tell my first joke, and then I'll be like, okay, I did it. I'm done. One and done.
I'm getting ready to be really mean, but I decided not to. I love you. I just want you to know that.
Okay.
You're like my little sister, and I have the right of big brotherhood to roast you a little bit.
Just a little bit. A lot of it. That's the secret macronist.
That was the wifey walking in.
That was the wifey. Okay. I found this one on the r/Dusty Thunder subreddit. I love Dusty Thunder.
I thought you said something completely different. I'm not gonna lie. Ah!
We all got flashbang.
And God said, "Let there be light," and I went blind.
Okay. Whenever you're ready.
Hit me.
Okay. AITAH, so am I the asshole, for going off on my daughter's aunt. We read the title on this one earlier. For calling her trash. And as people who have been called white trash our entire lives, I think it's accurate. But, okay. This is a long post, so I'm sorry, but there's a lot of history between us that needs explained, and all names have been changed to protect privacy. Okay, so I don't care that it's long because there's explanation and details. And details help when making opinions.
Of course.
As long as those details are accurate, but we always only have OP, original posters, side of things. So, I F 37 and my sister Mary 46F. They're the sisters in quotations, by the way. Have known each other for 18 years. So this is similar to me and Mandy, like sisters, but we're like not blood related.
Yeah.
Okay. I had been in a relationship with her younger brother, Mike, also 37M, when we were 18. When I got pregnant with my now 18F daughter. So the daughter is an adult now. Sarah. That's the daughter's name. And he ended up having addiction issues and chose his addiction over his child. Mary stepped in and helped me get to my dad's place at the time and comforted me and told me I was the little sister she had always wanted. We stayed close up until 2020 after I'd been going up to school in the hopes of becoming a lawyer for veterans, a defense attorney and civil rights voice, and had them squashed to a very serious health diagnosis. So she was going to be a veteran lawyer, and then got really sick. During this time, my political views shifted as I saw a lot of things wrong with our justice system. So she got educated in deciding that she wanted to do, different than how she was taught, how she was raised.
Yeah.
Fast forward in 2020, Mary made a post ranting and raving based off of something the news had reported, and I very calmly told her, hey, you should really do your own research first. I've done things like that. I've been like, Mama, you need to look at what you're reading from, because that's a Facebook article made by AI.
Yeah.
She cut not only me off, but my daughter off as well. And we didn't hear from her for 3 years. So, helped raise this daughter until she was 18, and then cold turkey, no contact. Don't know how to feel about that. She came back and apologized for the experience and said she had made poor choices 3 years later, and was sorry for all the time lost and understood if neither Sarah nor I wanted to have further contact with her. I set clear boundaries with her, and she let politics get in the way of our friendship or her relationship with her niece. Again, our friendship would be over. She flew my daughter out many times to go see her now sober dad, whom we've rebuilt a friendship with. I am married and so is he. His wife is amazing and he respects my husband and his opinions. Sorry, I got a little confused on the wording. Even had her out to visit her cousins and many more interactions. Fast forward to a few months ago, she started ranting about politics again on her social media. And she said if we disagreed with her, there was the door. Okay. Now, I mean, that's her right. You can... I've made that boundary with some people. I mean, like, no, this is the door. Like, this is my wall. If you try to go over the wall, I'm gonna, get a little violent about it. I responded kindly and told her, please do not do this. I love you like a sister, and you know how much you mean to me, and I have warned you if you go down this path, you will lose me as a friend. She didn't care and basically told me to F off. I blocked her, but Sarah's dad and stepmom called me and told me all the names she was calling me, and forgot that Sarah was also her friend on that page. So she saw her, what she sees as an aunt figure, talking about her mom like she's a piece of garbage.
Yeah.
Let me see. My daughter's heart was broken. She sent her a message thanking her aunt very clearly, thanking her aunt for everything she's done, and to build her relationship back up with her dad and his side of the family. But she couldn't stand by and watch her mom be disrespected. Sorry. Her dad and stepmom backed her up, and we all cut contact with her. Today, she sent my daughter a message calling not only me trash, but Sarah her niece trash and said it was her fault that she no longer has a relationship with her family. And I lost it. I went after her, calling her a POS for calling Sarah trash, that no one forced her to post what she did. That was her choice, and she needed to take responsibility for her own actions. To act like an adult, and while she was at Mamie... Sorry. Let me start over. To act like an adult, and while she was at Mamie, she should get... and while she was at it, Mamie get help for her alcoholism. Sorry, LP wrote that a little weird for me. FYI, Mary drinks anywhere between 1 to 3 bottles of wine a day, and has 3 kids to take care of as well. Everyone is on my side, but I can't help but feel like I went too far. So am I the asshole for going off on my daughter's aunt for calling her trash? There is an update, but I'll let you get your initial thoughts out.
Is she an asshole for going off on her?
Like, think of it like when Mandy being wrong for going off on me if I made this big post after if we weren't friends anymore. And that's the equivalent.
No, I don't think she's an asshole. I think she stood her ground. Mm-hmm. And I believe, because they've already lost friendship over once.
Yeah, and it's just like, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me.
Exactly. So they she went through it once, that she forgave her.
Yeah.
She came back, bygones be bygones, and then she went off, done it again, and apparently the aunt is not a good person.
Not taking it well. I think when you call people out like that, and they don't take it well, it's because they know they're in the wrong, but they're like, they want to double down because they're so scared of being wrong, if that makes sense.
Yeah. It's like, I have to be right, fuck you.
Yeah.
I'm right, you're wrong. No matter what happens, no matter what goes on, mm-hmm. I'm always right.
But in the back of their hand, they couldn't even have that voice that says, oh, but they're probably right. Even if they have that voice, if they double down, they double down.
Yeah, it's just, listen, I tell people this all the time, don't deal with bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
They can't pay me enough with a shovel to dig through that much bullshit.
No.
And I'm sorry if someone was to, do that. And then, especially after I was like, okay, fine, we'll make friends again. We'll make up for it. Mm-hmm. This, that, and the other, and then turn around and do it again mm-hmm. at a later date, and then start blaming everybody. It's everybody else's fault, not my fault. It's everybody else's a piece of shit. Blah 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 blah. Fuck them. Fuck that person. Mm-hmm. If you can take responsibility for the shit you stirred up, you don't need to be stirring the shit.
Yeah.
I mean, fuck that person. Mm-hmm. Sorry, no, you're not the asshole.
You're fine. The ant was the
you
are not the asshole. But I'll get this point out, and then I'll read the update, and then we will end the podcast for tonight because it's almost 12:00 a.m. for me and man, and I still have to edit this and get it out. At least for Patreon today, and then I have to set it to upload for YouTube and Spotify and make sure it doesn't break. And I need a little bit of time to do that. So my thought was, no, not the asshole. Even if it's like, but it's your daughter and your daughter's an adult. Well, in my opinion, even if your son and daughter were 18, 19 years old and I was still around, those are my nibblings. I think that's what you're supposed to call your niece and nephew together. Whatever. That's my niece and nephew, and I'm going to mat for them. I don't care how old they are. I'm going to mat for my niece and nephews right now with Aaron. I've adopted them as my nieces and nephews. And, just like I have your son and daughter. And I feel like you are that way. Like, it doesn't matter if your daughter was 18 years old. If somebody was out there calling your daughter trash, you would be like, excuse me, my daughter is not trash.
She might be a cunt at times, but she's not trash, okay?
Yeah. She's a little bit of a smart aleck, but she is not trash.
No. As someone that's been trailer park trash, no.
She is so much better than trailer park trash.
Trust me, I grew up in trailer park trash.
No,
I understand.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that no, I will go to war.
Mm-hmm.
I need to cut that bitch off. Fuck her.
Yeah, it's like when they cross a certain boundary, it's like, okay, there's no more playing nice. It's time for Mr. My Guy to come out.
Yeah, fuck that bitch. I mean, come on. If you're gonna be a cunt like that and you can't even take responsibility for it, if you're gonna be a cunt, at least own up to it.
Right? If you're going to be, I've kind of said it. I'm like, sometimes lately, like losing some anxiety, but I've gained it in other places. I'm not gonna lie. Every time I'm gonna hit that post button, I feel my heart in my chest, and then I calm down a little bit. But it's like, if you're gonna be a bitch, like, own it. Like, I've met some really mean girls, but they are girls. Like, they will have your back. They might be a little mean, but they get it done.
Oh yeah, I've met quite a few boys that that they're pricks. Don't get me wrong.
Oh yeah,
straight up.
No.
But
they
when it came
want to be in the same room as me because we butt heads.
Exactly. But at the same time, if someone talks shit about me behind my back, they'd be the first one to be like, no, fuck you, dude.
Yeah.
It's like,
and
he's a prick, but still.
I know that it's unfortunately very realistic that people, like, just like that, they are amazing individuals, even though their moral compass is not where it should be. They have amazing attributes, and I think that's what people need to realize. No one is all bad, and no one is all good. Like, regardless, I don't care who you just thought of. Even your mother. Your mother. Like, you've had issues with your mother, but mine passed away before we had time to create issues.
Yeah. You got to avoid that situation.
Yeah, and it's not even that I got to avoid it. It's that I never got to see my mother as a person while she was alive.
Yeah.
I only saw her as a mother. And now that I'm 21 years old, I wish I could, like, see her and talk to her as Mary and not as Mom. Like, of course, she's still my mom, but I want to know more about what made Mary Mary.
Yeah, it's different when, like you said, you lost yours at a very young age. You didn't get the experiences of, like, you never got to see her as a person as, you didn't get to see her mad.
Yeah.
Like, really mad.
Yeah.
You didn't get to see her broken down.
No.
You didn't get to see the human side of Mom. Yeah. You just got to see the mom, the caretaker person.
And that's what I needed at the time, because I did not get that in my dad. I got parentified by my dad because I was helping take care of my mother. So she always tried to make herself just Mom.
Yeah. And that's an understandable situation.
That was very smart on her part.
Yeah. But
I know it's left me with this, like, this halo over her head. She could have done no wrong, but I know she could have. She was a person.
She's still human, regardless.
Yeah. I'll get into this update and stuff, because it's not that long. It's 2 paragraphs. Okay. For those who didn't see my comments, Mary went unhinged and called my work and tried to get me fired the same day for what I had said to her. Mike intervened and told her she needed to back off, as my job is how I support our daughter, and if she takes that from us, then she is hurting not only us, but him and his family as well, as he pays child support and has a young daughter, Sarah's half-sister. She backed off. My work hasn't called since. But Sarah did try reaching out to her grandpa and step-grandma on that side of the family, and they left her on red. And Sarah believes, and Sarah's the daughter, just to remind everybody, it's because Mary, the aunt, twisted shit and probably lied, and she is devastated because they had just started building a relationship together. What really hurt Sarah is that Mary had told her she would never let anything get between them, that she would forever be in her life and loved her and wanted to make up for lost time, and promised her she would always be there. I'm hurting for my daughter and wish I could say more, but everyone is telling me to not respond, probably to Sarah. I wish I had a minute update, but that's it for now. And that looks like a week ago.
Fuck. Sorry.
Yeah.
Damn. That's
that
some kind of
update,
unhinged.
That here.
That's petty beyond petty.
Yeah.
That's going beyond I'm right no matter what zone to
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know.
Mm-hmm.
To try to get someone fired and destroy everything someone's built because I don't understand it.
I don't either. I think this one quote that I saw and that really fits. Like you saying you don't understand it. You can't understand actions that are taken without reason because there is no reason. Or without logic because there is no logic.
Yeah, there's nothing behind that besides the only thing behind that of trying to get someone fired is just straight maliciousness.
Yeah.
That's all it is. If you're willing to go out of your way to destroy somebody just because of a view difference.
Okay, so there's like 2 comments on this post, and this was the comments OP was responding to. So I will read those because I think this top one, it's a little interesting because somebody's trying to be a devil's advocate almost, and I can't help but look at it because it's so interesting because obviously this person is very different from OP, and how it reminds me of what OP was trying to get away from when she said she started learning about the political system when she started being a lawyer, like in the original post. Spoken like a coward. It wasn't just about politics, although I can imagine it was probably some deluded, hateful, MAGA conspiracy bullshit she was posting. She was being totally unhinged, so talking about Mary. Considering her late behavior, I'd say she was totally justified in her responses. When you let someone talk to your daughter that way and not defend her. Talking about, so they were saying that OP's daughter, should have, I didn't read the top. And it makes more sense, hold on. So that was a response to another comment that had 23 downvotes. You could have, I don't know, just ignored what she posted on the internet both times. You don't always have to see eye to eye with friends on politics, which is something me and men do agree on. Me and men do have political differences, but we agree morally. And that's what you have to understand. When you disagree with somebody on politics, are you disagreeing with their politics, their policies, or are you disagreeing with their morals? Because I can't disagree with somebody on morals and be friends. I can disagree on politics and be friends.
Oh yeah, I can disagree with people on politics. I have a friend right now, besides others, who's I am kind of right. I can't help it. I'm on the right side, the red side, a little bit more than the left side. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I understand the views of people on that side.
And I mean, I get why you say that. Like, that's how you describe yourself. Because of where we grew up, especially. But you, to me, are so, especially now in this political climate, it's very different from how you grew up. Politics changed so much around the time I was born. So that's why there's such a big disconnect between my generation and then, like, yours or older. Because it was such a different time growing up. And it's really hard for people to change their opinions after they grew up a certain way.
And that even goes from, like, my generation to the older generation. The politics changed between A and B there, too. Mm-hmm. So there's things they say. I'm just like, what the fuck? Huh?
Like, they would look at me and be like, yeah, you should get Shania castrated because she can't have good kids anyway. And I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. I'm not cattle. I'm not a dog. Why are we talking about Shania like she's not a person?
Yeah, and there's extremes between, if you look at, like, let's go from, like, your generation, my generation, which is millennials, then
Yeah.
Gen X, and then the boomers, and
Mhm.
then you had the silent
Yeah.
generation before that. Between every single generation, the politic difference between A, B, C, D, and E has changed so dramatically
Mhm.
of what the values between left and right are.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of things that actually, as someone that's a little more red party than blue party,
Yeah.
that I agree with in a blue party.
Yeah.
And because I'll put it this way, let's take a really famous socialist program. It's known as food stamps.
It's very socialist. It's very socialist.
And let's take them away from all those people who rely on them that are red party and see how
Yeah.
fast they change their ideal.
And I feel like that's why my generation, after Trump got put back into office, I feel like that my generation, I feel like the reason that it became kind of, and it's going to get very blunt, this is a very explicit part of the podcast, because we're about towards the end here, so forgive me, YouTube, I will bleep it.
If they made it this far, they get to hear it.
Yeah, if they stayed this far, they get to hear it. And that's why my generation has become, especially even me, man, you've seen me change from March to May. Fuck around and find out. You voted him in, these are your consequences. You have told us our entire lives, if you take action, there's going to be consequences. Well, these are your consequences, and you have to live with them.
And I agree with that 100%.
Mm-hmm.
You fucked around and you found out, oh, look, it's the consequences of my own actions.
It's the consequences of my actions coming to bite me in the hiney.
And it is what it is. And I'm just one of those people where I've always tried to look at both sides, the best of my ability, do my research, at least somewhat.
And I think that people take that, they hear that little bit that you just said, I will go and do my own independent research. And that right there will make a lot of people that are MAGA, they're Trump. I'm not going to say conservatives, because like I said, I feel like liberals, conservatives, I feel like it gets very tainted and water-washy because it's repeated so much. It's very much, I feel like, in my opinion, it should be the people versus everything else. You need to band together when there's such big issues. Such as
100%.
Grocery prices, gas prices. If those issues are so important to you, then you need to come together as a society. Not one party, two party. It's everybody is one party, and we need to work together. And so that's why I said, when you call yourself more conservative, I really just feel like you're just more independent.
I can actually agree with that to a pretty good extent, because I've always tried to believe in unity between the people, because right now we're in a situation where it, like you said, it is kind of us versus them in a way. That means the 1% versus the 99.
Yeah, I don't want it to sound like I'm saying it's red versus blue. It's the 1% versus the working class. Because even if you make above minimum wage, I'm not even talking about you. I'm talking about people that make billions of dollars. You can be a millionaire and still be a good person. But billionaires who do not donate any money, Ben, you know this, I know you know this. Ben, what's the difference for everybody listening between $1 billion and $1 million?
Okay, I'll put it like this. Let's take it in terms of time.
Yeah,
okay?
Absolutely, because that's
seconds.
simple.
1 million seconds. All right? I'm trying to remember exactly what it is.
And you can look it up, you're fine. I just remember how you've told me in the past that I really liked how you explained it. And I feel like people would benefit from that.
So the way if you put it like this, 1 million seconds, which is this is a person with $1 million, okay? We're putting it in time, is approximately 11.5 days, so 11 and a half days. All right? 1 billion seconds, and this is the jump, is 31 about 31 years, 31.5 years. Okay,
so we went
that's
from
11 days
to years.
Years, and not just a couple of years, like half a person's lifespan almost.
Yeah, that is technically, if you look up the muscular dystrophy lifespan, which is what they tried to originally diagnose me with for my audience, but it was changed to muscle myopathy, which is a diagnosis I'm a little more comfortable with right now unless I get further testing. Anyway, but like if you look up the lifespan for somebody with muscular dystrophy, early 20s.
Yeah.
And that's based on, like, you know, all muscular dystrophy. Yeah.
That's... And if that shows you, like, the difference between how much... And the way I see billionaires is, dude, you've already won.
Yeah, you won the game. Why aren't you sharing with the rest of us?
Now you're putting in cheat codes, dude. Okay, yeah. I understand, but still, putting in the Sims cheat code. What's the cheat code for the Sims?
It's like ka-ching or something, cash.
Something like that. Yeah. Stop typing it, dude.
Yeah.
You win. You can do whatever you want. Period. There is nothing limiting you besides, I don't know, materials. Shit. I don't know. You can have a tungsten couch.
It's mother loan. They keep putting in mother loan.
Yeah, mother load. They keep typing in mother load. Dude, you beat the game multiple times.
Listen, you have 100% in the game twice. On 2 different accounts, you've gotten platinum. Let somebody else have the controller.
I mean, just listen. I understand you're a billionaire. You're top of the ladder. You've done your thing. You got the big honking swinging dog. Okay? But my thing is, why? Why do you need that much? That's the
more
thing.
Money than any human could spend in their lifetime.
Is my whole thing was not the fact of the billionaires. Okay, I don't care about that.
Yeah, like you got your man, great. Your grandkids and their grandkids are set. Awesome, that's great for you and your family. Why are you still exploiting people to get money?
Yeah, why are you... You could stop.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe not. I don't know. I'm not a billionaire. I can't tell you how the functionality works in billionaires.
But
I don't know.
Come on. You could give to more charity. Wasn't it like if somebody, like one of these billionaires, took such a small pocket change amount of money to them and gave it to like a food organization, that there would be no more like world hunger? Like statistically speaking, mathematically speaking,
if you really want to crunch like numbers and this, that, and the other, they are in the U.S. alone. Hold on, let me look this up.
Yeah,
so I know I'm right.
Yeah. No, we don't want to spread misinformation. We just want to spread information.
So the current U.S. population is roughly 340 million people in the United States alone. Yeah. All right. You could, as a billionaire, make some of those lives a lot easier.
Yeah.
Or distribute enough wealth between a lot of different people through companies, or even allow them to build up companies to alleviate other people as well, because they'll start gaining wealth, which they then... I mean, that's the way I believe economy should work.
Absolutely.
Like, in some extent. I mean, maybe not the best example. I don't know. I'm not an economist. I'm just some fat guy.
Just a guy that works on trees.
Some guy that works with trees. But there has to be a way for these people to actually help other people. Am I saying it's the perfect ideal? No. But what I'm saying is, if we could elevate other people to build other factories, to build more U.S. product, because that's what a lot of things are about. Buy USA.
That's what they want.
You know, it's fine. Yeah, buy USA. But we have to have the companies, the products, the factories, the steel mills, the forgery, the mines, the blah, 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 blah. You can't we got to have that before we can start buying U.S. because nothing is produced in the U.S.
Mm-hmm. And that's what, we're about to find out the hard way. Yeah, well, some people. We know it's coming. So,
I know bad things.
I'm going to refer to the first person is Gears, and the second person is Castro, and then I'll tell you when it's OP chiming in. So I meant the political crap, Gears says. Unless I misunderstood the story, they decided to end their friendship over what she was saying politically, which is stupid. And then Castro says, no, she decided to end the friendship because she explicitly asked this woman to not bring up politics in their relationship. And she kept doing it. And then, after being called out, she started to personally attack her and her daughter. And that's a completely valid reason to do that. And someone said, people don't have to, though. Politics can lead to a mismatch in values and morals that are simply relationship ending. I cannot be friends with MAGA extremists, for example. You may not think politics are friendship or relationship ending, but some people do. And then OP chimes in and tells us what Mary actually said online, which is what I was interested in, which is why I was like, I have to read the comment. Her exact post, which I told her to please don't do this, was...
Break it up.
Okay. Sorry about that, guys. We had a little bit of technical issues.
We are having technical difficulties.
We are having technical difficulties. Please stand by.
Stand by.
So Ben, what was the last thing you heard? Sorry.
It was the one about where people are moral.
Yeah, okay.
Political. Okay.
So, she decided to end the friendship because she explicitly asked the woman to not bring up politics. You heard that, Matt, right?
Yes.
Okay, so then, after that, OP chimes in. Okay. Her exact post, which I told her to please not post. So this was why I wanted to read it, because I was like, oh, we actually get to see what Mary said. I don't care if you're friends or family. If you vote in this way, feel free to delete yourself. This is all your fault. We are at where we're at. You're all dead to me, and I want nothing to do with you. I never talked politics with her, and I don't talk politics with anyone, because I know we all have differences of opinions, and I don't care what your political opinion is. I care more about how we treat each other and our own. Some of our friends are on one extreme end, but we are still extremely good friends because I was there and helped them during really difficult and dark times. I care more about someone's character than their political values. And then somebody responded to the original thing Gear said, which was like, that she shouldn't have blocked her and that was stupid. And it was, that she should have ignored it. She did ignore it by blocking her until she went after OP's daughter.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I think OP was completely valid. And like the people in that comment section were saying, and we've said all night, morals do not mean, like, political values do not mean your moral values.
They can be separate.
They can be separate, but with some things, they go hand in hand. Like, if you vote a certain way, you're voting against these morals. Regardless if you believe this way, if you do vote for this thing, whether it's a candidate or just a law, if you vote for this thing and you say, yes, I want that, that means you agree with the morals that stand behind that.
Oh, yeah, you have to.
Yeah.
Because you're accepting...
politics. That's why they say the big three things not to talk about are politics, religion and... What's the
finances.
Finances. Thank you.
You're basically your personal life.
Yeah. And I'm like, well, sorry, it's getting a little personal, a little real. It's getting a little hot in the United States kitchen.
Oh yeah, it's getting rough, and
we're smoking
people,
up the rest of the world.
unfortunately, we're pulling in everybody else into our argument, and
Mommy and Daddy don't know how to get along, so we have to bring the therapist into it.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
So.
But that's where we will end Unapologetically Disabled for tonight. And I will, one more time for the audience, I am Shania Marie, and I am an upcoming comedian. I host this podcast. I have a TikTok, a YouTube, a Patreon, all the fun things. That's where you can find me. And Ben, as we sign off, please tell everybody once again where they can find you if they want to follow you and see more from you.
Well, the only thing I got right now is TikTok, the One Tree Guy. That's pretty much it. I'm Ben, signing off. Peace, love.
Thank you, man.
Thank you.
And then you will see Ben, of course, here on the Creation Forge, Shania Creates, and all of our fun stuff. So thank you guys, and we are signing off for the night.